The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus took with him Peter and James and his brother John and led them up a high mountain where they could be alone. There in their presence he was transfigured. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Suddenly, Moses and Elijah appeared to them. They were talking with him. Then Peter spoke to Jesus. "Lord," he said, "it is wonderful for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He was still speaking when suddenly a bright cloud covered them with shadow, and from the cloud there came a voice which said, "This is my Son, the Beloved. He enjoys my favor. Listen to him." When they heard this, the disciples fell on their faces, overcome with fear. But Jesus came up and touched them. "Stand up," he said. "Do not be afraid." And when they raised their eyes, they saw no one but only Jesus. As they came down from the mountain, Jesus gave them this order: "Tell no one about the vision until the Son of Man has risen from the dead." The Gospel of the Lord. Are you resilient? Or are you the first to stockpile on toilet papers? Rick Hansen is a clinical psychologist and a senior fellow at the University of California in Berkeley, and a New York Times best-selling author. In 2018, Rick published Resilient: How to Grow an Unshakable Core of Calm, Strength, and Happiness. In that book, according to Rick, mental resources like determination, self-worth, and kindness are what makes us resilient. That is, the ability to cope with adversity and push through challenges in the pursuit of opportunities. Moreover, for Rick, resiliency produces in us compassion, calm, courage, and generosity, among others. And I ask you, in what ways have you shown resiliency in life? When were those moments in your life when you were able to cope with adversity and push through life's challenges in the pursuit of something better? However, for us Catholics, our resiliency is not rooted in the promise of a better opportunity, nor the security of a risk-free future. Our resiliency, our ability to cope with adversity and to push through with life's challenges, is anchored in God's mercy. Thus we echo the same prayer the psalmist cried today: "Lord, let your mercy be on us as we place our trust in you." So when you cope with life's adversities and challenges, was it because you placed your trust in God, or you were just hoping that things will be better? There is a totally big difference when your hope is in God and not just in the idea that things will be better. The first one is gifted with faith, while the second one is simply a warrior. So are you a person of faith, or are you a warrior? Warrior, not warrior. Warrior. Do you worry a lot? From where I'm standing, it seems you always worry a lot. In our readings today, we are presented with individuals who have exhibited resiliency and whose resilience is marked by faith and trust in God's loving mercy. The first character is Abram, who received instructions from God to leave his country, his family, his father's land. To be uprooted from one's land is not a delightful process. And I've noticed that also in our parish. I can't even ask people to move their bums from where they're seated and seat forward. Can you imagine the dilemma Abram must be wrestling with when God told him, leave your family, leave your homeland, leave your country? Yet, Abram did not worry about those concerns. Abram obeyed and went as the Lord told him. Abram held on to God's promise that God will bless him and his offspring. Who among you can genuinely say to himself or herself that she has placed his or her trust in God, even if it involved giving up one's country, one's family, and one's land? The second character is the person of Jesus Christ. Although one can be distracted by the spectacular event of the account on the Transfiguration in today's Gospel reading, one can recognize the inner struggle Jesus is wrestling with. When Jesus and his 3 disciples were going down the mountain, he gave them instructions to tell no one about the vision of the Transfiguration until the Son of Man has risen from the dead. When Jesus has been going to the mountain to pray, it seems he is starting to feel the pressure and the agony involved in his mission. Mind you, every time Christ refers himself as the Son of Man, Jesus would foretell and augur about the nature of the suffering, death, and the resurrection of the Son of Man. In Matthew 12, Jesus compared himself to Jonah's 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the sea monster. So for 3 days and 3 nights, according to Jesus, the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth. And in the same chapter, as they were gathering in Galilee, Jesus said to them, the Son of Man is going to be betrayed into human hands, and they will kill him, and on the 3rd day he will be raised. In Matthew 20, Jesus will again foretell his death and resurrection. While Jesus was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves and said to them on the way, see, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death. Then they will hand him over to the Gentiles and be mocked and flogged and crucified. On the 3rd day he will be raised. Knowledge, if not at least an inkling, that one will suffer and die can prove to be a frightening and fearful situation. The thought of a coronavirus has unnerved and has thrown most of us into panic. How much more is the effect on the person who is almost privy to one's coming passion, suffering, and death? But we also recognize the calmness, the inner tranquility on Jesus' part amidst this profound tension. I hope you're not wondering where Jesus is drawing his inner strength. He goes to prayer and enters into an intimate conversation with the Father. Jesus is placing his hope and his trust in God. And how did God respond to Christ's prayer? By assuring God's love for him. This is my beloved Son. He enjoys my favor. For Christ, it was not the certainty of positive outcome that matters to him. It is the knowledge that he is deeply loved by the Father, who is the God of love. For us who follow Christ, it is enough to know that we are loved by God, to be able to face life's challenges. Paul's letter to Timothy speaks of this. We can bear the hardships in life for the sake of the gospel. We can rely on the power of the God who has saved us and called us to be holy. So trust in God, hope in God, be compassionate and generous. We do not need too many toilet papers in this life.